This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, here we go. Take two. The time being 4:48 p.m., I'd like to call the meeting of February 4th, 2021 to order. Before we get started, please mute your microphone during the meeting unless you want to speak. Otherwise, background noise will interfere with the meeting. As chair of the Tilton Select Board, due to the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis, and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically, and these reasons shall be reflected in the minutes. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that A, we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone. Members of the public wishing to attend this meeting electronically may call the following conference call number at 1-866-899-4679. The access code is 817-026-717, followed by the pound key. B, additional public access by video or other electronic means will be available as follows. We are using the GoToMeeting platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate remotely using your smartphone, tablet, or computer at global.gotomeet.me/town of Tilton/selectmen. This information can also be found on our website at tiltonnh.org under meeting schedules and agendas. Go to the section where it says Board of Selectmen. C, we are providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting via telephone conference and by GoToMeeting, and instructions are provided on the Town of Tilton's website at tiltonnh.org and at the town kiosk. D, we are providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting that a member of the public wishes to speak or to be recognized during any public comment or public hearing. If you're a member of the public listening in and have questions, please write your questions down. And at the end of each agenda item, I will ask if there are any questions from the public before we move on to the next agenda item. Please state your name and address and then ask your question. E, we are providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem, please email web@tiltonnh.org, which will be monitored during the meeting. F, we will adjourn the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at that time. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start our meeting tonight by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states they're present, also please state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Due to the unusual circumstances, we will dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call vote. Fogg.
Fogg present, one lying dog.
Desmond present. I'm here with Jeannie Forrester and Megan and Dave Gilman. We're at Jeannie's office. Pyra.
Eric Pryor present, one in the house and one additional expected shortly.
Okay. Hanlon.
Present and just here by myself.
Thank you very much. Constantino.
Constantino is present, and there are 2 additional in the House.
Okay. Thank you very much. Want to skip right down to the good stuff. We're going to be swearing in Officer Gilman, well, no, Sergeant Gilman. Let's see. No. To the inhabitants of the town of Tilton, in the county of Belknap, in the state of New Hampshire. Whereas there is a vacancy in the position of interim sergeant in the town of Tilton, and whereas we, the subscribers, have confidence in your ability and integrity to perform the duties of said office, do hereby appoint you, Abel J. Gilman, to the position of interim sergeant for the town of Tilton, New Hampshire, which shall be effective as of January 28, 2021. Whereas you're taking the oath of office and having this appointment and the certificate of said oath of office recorded by the Tilton Town Clerk, you shall have the power to perform the duty and be subject to the liability of such office until another person shall be chosen and qualified in his stead. Officer Gilman, do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent on you as an interim sergeant for the town of Tilton, New Hampshire, according to the best of your abilities, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the United States Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire? So help me God. Outstanding, Sergeant Gilman. So the pinning of the badge and the medical kit, just in case they get my best on. Oh, there you go, there you go. My best on. So exciting. I'll get him one. There you go.
Not everyone smile. Somewhere says you can put it in the eyes.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Woo! Yay!
Very much. Can you do this right
We
now?
gotta get this signed by C.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
On the phone later on.
Yes, thank you. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it's nice to meet you, Megan.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay. All right. Proceeding on, I'd like to approve the minutes of 121 and 128. And I bring them to the floor for discussion. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Pat?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't have the minutes in front of me. I'm not sure. I think it was last week, so whatever the date that was, just one minor thing. We were talking about community action, their fundraiser for Meals on Wheels, and Gail listed the people that wanted to participate and left out John Scanlon's name.
Okay, so noted. Anybody else? Any concerns? Okay, hearing none. I make a motion to approve the minutes of 121 and 128, 2021, as corrected as amended. Is there a second?
Constantino second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Tom?
Fogg, yes.
Jessamine, yes. Byra?
Byron,
Scanlon, yes.
Constantino, yes.
Okay, the motion carries. Interim Chief, Interim Police Administrator, Rich Mann, would like to give a police department update. Don't see him. Is Rich Mann here?
He should be, if he was.
Not according to this.
I think we're running a little ahead of
15
schedule.
minutes early.
And I can see where that might be a thing.
He was before. There's T. Sattler. Who's T. Sattler?
Tim Sattler.
I think that might be Adam.
Okay.
Okay, Adam Sattler.
I will call him because he was just gone. Hey, Rich, Timmy.
I'm gonna go grab my coffee. I'll be right back. It is coffee.
Yeah, I left mine out front here. I'm gonna go get mine.
Because we just called. You're on the non-public.
Now we know why Joe wanted to do this tonight is because he's in Jeannie's office with the chocolate. Now we know.
I hear you.
Okay, well, got the coffee though. Sorry for the delay. We're trying to get it squared away. I think this is a non-public issue. I think.
The chief is non-public.
I think so. It's a non-public issue.
Oh well, let me know because I got to get the people out of the rooms.
Yeah, yeah. As soon as I find out.
Okay, he sees us. I see that you're on. Okay.
So I have a camera. I'm trying to figure out how to get the camera. Camera
There you
on.
You're there.
Excellent. Okay. See you in a bit.
No. Is he still on?
I don't see it.
Technology is an amazing thing, but I think I'm a little old to figure it out. I need a teenager here.
We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Let me tell the device to show me.
There should be a share.
Richard Mann. Camera on.
And then it should on the right-hand side say share, and then share it.
Okay. Turn camera on. This is recording. Um,
Okay. Well, you're early anyway. You ready?
Well, this is terrible. I don't know why I can't see anybody. I apologize.
So you can't see us at all?
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Hi, everybody.
Is this non-public? Gonna be non-public?
No.
No? Okay,
Just no.
all right.
Okay, so the floor is yours, Chief.
Just that, Rich, I just want to say, you're going to give them an update of what your activities and then.
Sure. So first of all, everybody, hello. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Richard Mann, and I am thrilled to be here. I started Friday with a half day, and then I have to force myself to leave the building every day. I get in here, and the clock just spins. I love it. And my wife texts me and says, "Where are you? It's dinner time." And I'm like, "I'm on my way." So there was a lot to do when I first got here. The the fact that this is a new building and some of the people, although I know them, it's interesting to get in here on this side of the door and begin some of the kind of investment in what you guys are paying me for. So I sent you all that 4-page kind of a breakdown of what I found in the couple days I've been here. I did send you the weekly stats. I'm not sure how the last chief did it. I tried to get the mark as best I could. Yes, sir.
I got the stats, but I didn't get the other document.
Okay. I know that I was trying to figure out the email thing, and I think that maybe the town administrator and Tim have it. So maybe we can get that out to you for the end of the meeting.
Okay, I didn't get it either, Rich, so I don't think anybody else did either.
Okay, and I apologize for that. I'm still trying to learn how to use the Google system. It may take me a bit.
I can appreciate it.
Uh, some of the things that I wanted to put into place, and Selectman Constantino, you had very specifically told me that you were interested in communications, so we worked on that immediately. There was a supervisors meeting, and it was very productive. We got everybody on board. Roles and responsibilities were defined, and I will tell you that there's a lot of work to do here, not only for the moving of the building, but kind of recognizing the talents in the building and getting everybody in the right direction. So that's what I started doing on, this is my end of my first real week here. And I mean, I have so much to tell you. It might be easier if you guys want to ask me questions so I could get specific topics answered that are important to you.
Peter, would you like to start?
No, I'm good. The report I saw was very interesting because I've been asking for something like that for 6 years. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. It's my pleasure. And on that note, though, if I could just say, I'm sorry if some of the stuff in there seemed a little gruff, but one of the things you're going to find from me, I don't think that it serves any purpose to sugarcoat anything to any of you. If you ask me a question, you're going to get an answer. If I don't know the answer to the question, I'm going to get back to you with it. But I will never sit here and tell you something I think you want to hear for the purposes of saying it.
Okay. How about you, Eric?
Thank you, Chief. It was actually reading that report that you sent that had all the incidents on it. That was enlightening for me. I can see how it's useful, but the other stuff I haven't received yet. But I'm looking forward as we grow to get to know you a little bit better. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I think what you're going to find, sir, when you get that document, I kind of walk in on the first day and I walked you through what my week was, what I saw, what I did, what I think we need to do. And I know I'm just the interim, and the contract that you guys have with me says that, you really don't want me to shake the tree too hard. But I think if you're paying me to be here, I'm going to shake it and fix as many problems as I can.
Okay. How about you, John? Yeah.
I'm on. Yeah,
You're on.
welcome aboard.
Thank
Maybe someday we'll meet. But
Now that I see your faces, I know who you are.
yeah. So yeah, I'm real grateful that you came over. Kind of like perfect timing and find you. We've had great recommendations. So yeah, it was very nice to get the copy of the logs. Gives us an idea on what the guys are doing, running around. It seems like they're pretty busy out there and working hard. Um, I know I, as a selectman, are really happy to have our negotiating group work out a contract with the union, and I hope the police officers are happy, and we're looking forward to some renewed spirit over there.
I think you're actually going to see it. Since I've been here, one of the things that, as an outside police officer, of course, I live in Northfield. I've been passing through the town of Tilton in one manner or another in my own car and in the cruiser that I had assigned. I would oftentimes see the officers, and I would scan their frequency, listen to what they're doing. I would never bypass a Northfield or Guilford officer without stopping to check on them. So that's how I get to know a lot of them. Tilton PD, you guys in general should be very proud of them. The officers that are here, intelligent, smart, articulate, polite, very professional. I knew that on the outside. Being on the inside has given me kind of a very in-depth look at them, and it has not changed my mind. They're good people. The people that are here are willing to work hard, and they're willing to work hard for you. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is tell them the support is there. Let's get us all on the right track and in the right direction.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Pat?
Thank you. Welcome, Rich, to your first meeting with the Board of Selectmen. I look forward to your report that you're going to send along to us. It's very exciting to hear that you see what we've seen for a long time. We have a very intelligent group of officers. It's really, we've known it for quite a long time. Communications is key, and I know that that's in your forefront. Um, so I'm really excited. I don't have any. I do have one question at this time, but I'm waiting for the report to come out, and then I'm sure I'm going to have other questions. But I do know that we did get a petition for Silver Lake and an issue that we have up there, and I was just wondering if you're working on that issue.
One of the things I think is really important, and I think your police department has done it before. The agency that I came from, one of the things that I always said was a priority is, so you get a concern from the general public, and in this case, it was a written concern, and it had a lot of people who also signed the document indicating that something really bothered them and they wanted our help. I signed a supervisor. We did what's called an indicated patrol sheet. So the names and addresses of the people involved indicated. For the rest of you, I'm not sure if you're aware, some of the Silver Lake residents said that speeding over there is out of control, and I agree, because that most of the time they would come into our town from Jamestown Road, and they were flying. We did the same thing on our side of the bridge. So the officers throughout their shift would get a notice from the supervisor saying, we have a problem-oriented police solution here. We're going to run intermittent radar and enforce every single motor vehicle violation we see in this section of town. The supervisor actually divided up the task, and they're already starting to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to open one call for service, and we're going to have what's called a running activity. And so at the end of a period of time, we're going to look at that and find out, is what we're doing effective? Is it working? And then we're going to reach out to the people that live in the neighborhood and find out if they've actually seen any positive changes.
Well, I live on Silver Lake Road, so I'll let you know.
You're going to see the cruisers. They're going to be parked in different areas along the road, and it's going to be at different dates and times, because if the problem is occurring when people are commuting in the morning, we don't just want to focus on that. We want to let everybody know in the neighborhood that the police are there, and we're going to address it if you're being inappropriate. I noticed even since the roads got upgraded over there, if people are walking a dog, if there's kids out on bikes, 25 miles an hour, it's really the speed you should be going to be able to navigate whatever hazard you're going to find. And we'll take care of it. It's just, and it's one of the many concerns that I think people want to see you address and make sure you take an action on.
Absolutely.
That's great. All right, well, that's all I have to say. Thanks. I appreciate it, Rich.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I would say, thank you ever so much for coming to Tilton and helping us. I hear nothing but good things. I'm looking forward to meeting you. If there's ever any way you think that I can be of any assistance to you, don't hesitate to call.
I appreciate that. The one thing that I will tell you is that it's actually my honor to be here. I felt that it was important for me to come and step in and to help as best I can with the level of experience I have. The only goal that I have here is to help get this place back under what you determine as safe and adequate control, and see what happens from there.
Thank you.
Joe, I do have one more question.
Okay, Pat.
Do you need anything from the Board of Selectmen right now? Are there anything that you need from us?
I don't think so. I will tell you that open communication is the way I roll. As the public information officer for my last agency, I think the communication is the key. If there's anything that I do need, when I ask you guys, I'll explain the need for it and then open it up for questions about why. It's never I want, and that's the way the organization should be run. This organization is run by tax dollars. This isn't an all-you-can-eat cruise ship buffet. We're going to do things very gently with keeping in mind the budgetary restrictions that we have. The new building is obviously a concern to keep the budget where it should be. And if I do ask for something, it's because it's a need and not a want. And I'll put that out there early in our relationship.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So Rich, we don't have to, but I will send you a text when we're ready to have you come back in public.
We
Wait.
can't hear you,
I
Jeannie.
can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, I said, we're running a little ahead of the schedule. I'll call you, I'll text you when we're ready to have you come back in for non-public.
Sure. Just let me know when that is.
I will text you when that is.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, folks. Again, it was a pleasure seeing all of you, and we'll talk here in the very near future in the non-public.
Okay.
And then,
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Rich?
Yes.
So, you know where you were before you came here in terms of over, that's where you're gonna link onto when we do the non. Okay.
All right. Go with me. I don't have a teenager here to help me, but I will give it my best shot. All right. Thanks, folks. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye now.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
So we have a Mr. Sattler who's,
I think that's,
okay, well, I was going to ask him if he has any comments. Mr. Sattler, do you have any questions or comments that you'd like to make? No? Okay, well, anytime you just chime in, we'll make room for you.
Joe, we also have Mr. Ruggles, Scott Ruggles on the line as well.
Either my glasses are fun. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Mr. Ruggles, how are you? Mr. Ruggles,
You're being shy.
what the hell's happening here?
so
Still muted.
Pat, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
They're muting themselves, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
don't have to do.
They're both on mute, but they're not answering, so I don't think it's an issue with us.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
This is Scott Ruggles. I'm here. It was just my Bluetooth in the car was acting up.
Oh, okay.
Welcome. I don't know if you were listening to Chief Mann, the new interim police chief. But if you had any questions that you have about that, please ask. No? Okay, well, we lost them. I don't know. The next thing on our agenda, even though we're early, is non-public. See how much time we got. We have a half an hour. Why don't we do the selectmen's reports in the intro? You all good with that?
Jeannie's report.
You have a report, Dean? Okay, let's do the selectmen first. First up would be Peter Falk.
Yeah, I think the only thing I have right now would be, are we scheduling a night for candidates night?
We're gonna ask Chuck when Chuck comes on. He's on
Okay,
it.
no problem. Thank you.
Okay. Next up is me. 2020 municipal parking stickers are expired. So this is a reminder that now's the time to get your 2021 municipal parking sticker. Call the police department directly at 286-8207 to make an appointment to get your sticker. The town parking ban is in effect and will be till April 15th. So next up is Eric Pyro.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. I just thought it was good that we've got the word out early in the storm, before the storm, that there was going to be no trash pickup on the day it snowed. I thought that was very helpful. And snow related, I noticed in the past that they used to put signs up downtown that snow removal is going to happen at night so that people weren't parked there. And this last time I noticed, all of a sudden I drove through downtown and they were working on it, which I thought was great. It was quick, but I hadn't noticed any signs that they were going to start snow removal. So that'll probably be a question for Kevin, but he's not here.
He's not here. Tina, would you make a note to talk? She's gonna make a note to speak with Kevin to find out why.
Okay.
Sure it gets done in the future.
Yeah, other than that, I thought downtown looks great, and that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. John? Microphone, John? Yeah. There you go.
There we go. Okay. Yeah. So been working at the new PD, and I can see it's coming along really, really fast. They're going full speed ahead, and it's looking really, really nice. And it's going to be tough, but everybody's working hard to get that done. And I've noticed some people on the rink skating, which is really nice. To see that utilized, and the DPW, the guys were out there clearing it off and taking care of that. So that's really nice to have that. That's pretty much it. And I'll
Okay,
if
thank you
anything
very
else.
okay. Pat?
Sorry, I'm talking without being unmuted. I have a couple of items. First off, we really need to take a housekeeping vote on, or another revote on the CBA. There was a error on one part of it. The CBA final draft that we showed you last week was intact on the Excel sheet. The that Tim put up on the wages on the Excel sheet. There was an error. It was missing the dollar for the dispatch supervisor. Now, although we voted for it a long time ago, it was in there, and it's in the appendix portion of the CBA agreement. The lawyer thought we should just go ahead and just redo a housekeeping to keep it nice and clean. The amounts on the Excel sheet itself, on the bottom, it's in your warrant. It's in the final warrant article. So instead of your 30,932 for your first year, it's 33,463, which this year will be a half a year because we start in July, and that's the change. Okay. So I would like to make a motion. Let me get the exact name. to the collective. To make a motion to accept and ratify the collective bargaining agreement between the town of Tilton and the Tilton Police Union, NEPBA Local 29, July 1, 2021 through July 30th, 2024, which includes now the dollar increase for the communication specialist the first year.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? I'll second it. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. Peter?
Is this discussion? I'm good.
Okay, yeah, I'm good as well. How about you, Peter? Eric?
I'm good as well.
Ron's good. Pat, I assume you're good as well. We have a motion in a second. No further discussion. Roll call. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Bog, yes.
Jessamine, aye.
Ira, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Constantino.
Constantino, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, for the next one, I did get a phone call asking a question which I couldn't answer. Was all of our highway trucks have a town insignia on it, except one, and that was the director's truck. And the question was why. I can't answer that, so I'm going to pass that along, please, to Jeannie to try to find out what the reason is, and then maybe next week on camera we can answer that resident's question. I have no idea.
Making notes, even as we speak.
Unless Jeannie has the answer. I don't.
No, she doesn't at this time, but she will.
Okay. So we voted to close town offices buildings, and I think that there was a misunderstanding because the water meeting held their annual or their monthly meeting at the senior center and have been holding them at the senior center. So I just want to clarify that we are not doing that at this time for the town buildings. So just want to clarify whether we're doing it or we're not doing it.
Well, I can speak to that a little bit. There was no January meeting, there was no December meeting. But the meeting prior to that was held at the senior center. And we went through the proper channels and we actually talked about it during the selectmen's meeting because I brought it up. And it's once a month and we do social distance masks. And we had people at that particular time. The last vote that I heard was that we had a status quo for the town building, which would include the senior center, Meals on Wheels. I think there was an AA meeting. I don't know if that's still happening. But there was also the uh, Water Commission as well. So just to say. Peter.
Well, what do you mean by?
My recollection was the motion was we closed town buildings. The exception at the senior center was Meals on Wheels because it was a pickup. They'd go out to the car and deliver the goods. Everything else gets shut down. That was the vote of this board.
I just wanted, when you say you went through the proper channels, what was the proper channels?
I don't set those meetings up. The chairman does, Paul Boudreau, and he's been discussing with Gail. And that's who he would have contacted. I don't know. All I know is the meeting was called at the senior center, and as far as I knew, it was good to go. If that's not true going forward, let's get that put to bed right now, and we'll try to do something else. We have the pump house, but it's not heated per se.
Well, I was told the other night that Gail didn't know anything about it. So I don't have an issue one way or another. I just need to know if it's open for the you meet once a month. If it's open, then the board needs to say it's open with social distancing and so on and so forth. We need clarification because then John goes up and sprays after
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
So we have to be very careful because then he goes up and does his thing when the senior center is open. So we,
Okay.
if we decide that it's open, fine. If we decide it's not open, that's fine. However the board decides is fine. They're perfectly okay to have the meeting there. That's not the issue.
Okey doke. How about Peter?
Please let me know because sewer's gone remote because the town office is closed. If we're allowing groups in, I want to know because we'll probably go back to our regular meetings.
I understand what you're saying, but this building is not open to the public. Um,
According
the
to our vote, we had shut it down by appointment only.
Okay. Is there anybody else? John?
That was all town buildings, I believe.
John?
Yeah, it was my recollection that we closed all town buildings. If they did want a special exception or something, perhaps they should come to us, say how they will do it, and then we can vote on it as a board.
Okey doke. So that request will be made, and I apologize for any confusion. I was under the impression that we had authority.
Well,
Any,
misunderstandings happen, Joe. That's not a big deal. It's just that we need to, because if it's open up there, then it should be open down here, whatever.
okay, Peter?
So if I'm hearing correctly, then sewer commission needs to just ask the board of selectmen if we can meet upstairs.
You can ask anything you want, Peter, but we'll talk about that when the proper time comes.
I'm just referring to if you're going to open one town building for a group, a district in town, but you're not going to open it for a town subdivision. That's very interesting. That's all.
To the best of my knowledge, we're approving nothing right now. We're getting the chairman of the water commission to make a formal request, and then that request would be taken up by us at a future date, to the best of my knowledge.
I just hope you're consistent.
Well, good to hope. It's good to have hope. Is there anybody else?
All right. So the next thing on my list is the housing standards meeting. And according to the housing standards ordinance, we should be having meetings. And the ex officio of that, and there was one meeting and it was canceled, and we haven't set up any other meetings. And we have, I may be wrong in this, but we have to have at least one meeting, and it's coming to March, and that would be the year. So in that year, we've had no meetings for housing standard ordinance. Nobody.
Who's the
Not
chairman?
the. So it's made up of land use, a landlord, a tenant, selectmen, and fire and police. And I think Leanne's the chair. I'm not positive about that. Dari ran it before, so I'm assuming that it's Leanne. But we've had no meetings, so can we check on that?
Yeah, I'll check.
Jeannie's gonna check. Jeannie's gonna check. She'll have a full explanation next time we talk.
Wonderful. And then my last question is, Jesse, when he left, do any of his fees and dues and associations, things that we have not paid yet this year, are we able to transfer them over to the incoming person? Just a kind of a brainstorming quick question I had.
He's interim, Pat, and he's not looking for anything other than,
No, I don't mean the interim, I mean the person that comes in permanently.
I can check with Tim.
Is there anything left over from the Jesse dues, or do we pay it all up front in January? I guess maybe that is a better question. And if there is the monies left over, are we able to transfer any of that Bar Association Town of Tilton over to the new incoming permanent one? Just a question.
I will check with Tim.
Okay, got it. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. And the time being, what is the time?
Right there in the corner.
Oh, I see it, sort of. The time being 5:30 PM. I'd like to make a motion to move into non-public session per RSA 91-A, semicolon 3, paragraph 2A, the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee, disciplining of such employee, the investigation of any charges against them, unless the employee affected, one, has a right to a public meeting, and two, requests that the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. RSA 91-A, semicolon 3, paragraph 2B, the hiring of any person as a public employee. To be back into public session at approximately 45 PM. Do I have a second?
Constantino, second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? Good. Roll call vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Peter?
Yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Ira, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Constantino, yes.
Okay, we are in non-public session. Please to switch over at this time.
Thank you. Tim and Scott will be back.
Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, the time is 7:01. We are back from non-public session. I'd make a motion at this time to seal the minutes of that non-public session as they pertain to personnel items permanently. Is there a second?
Ira, second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote. All those in favor
Yes.
of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Bog?
Yes.
Jessamine, aye. Ira?
Ira, yes.
And
Scanlon, yes.
Constantino, yes.
motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Mitchell, the floor is yours.
Actually, I believe the floor is going to be yours pretty much. It's my understanding that what you were going to do today is to go down through each of the warrant articles. I'm assuming starting with Article number 3, and tell me who is planning on moving it and if there is anything special about it. The one thing I did have as a question that I'd sent off earlier today to Jeannie, which was my question is, in looking at some of these amounts, I don't believe that any of them are actually bond issues, which would have to be open for an hour and with a secret ballot, but I'm not 100% sure after looking at it.
Just the first one.
Just the first one, yeah. The
That came
No.
from Jeannie.
right, Article 3.
Okay, so Article 3 would have to be open for an hour. Yeah, okay.
Before we get started, Chuck, I was wondering if you might be willing to moderate the candidates night debate. Now, I'm not exactly certain of the date. Yeah, you would consider set it yourself, the time, and it can be facilitated right in a forum like this, certainly. And I was wondering if you'd be willing to do that.
Sure.
Debate or candidates night?
Candidates night.
Thank you.
A candidate forum.
Yeah, the candidate forum, candidates night.
You got it.
I
Just say
think
no, Chuck.
Well,
think
just say no.
he
No,
said,
I'll be glad to do that, and I will get back to you after I look at my calendar. I'm assuming that we could probably do that somewhere around the third week of February.
could you get with Jeannie Forrester to discuss the details of that?
Sure.
Thank you ever so much. Okay, so that article number 3, who's going to move that to the floor? This is the bond issue for KLFL. Is there anybody who would like to move that to the floor?
John can.
I
John, step up.
don't have I
Oh,
don't
I
have a
can do
lot
it.
of information on it, on the
It's
history of it.
all right. Well, we can. I can do it if you want. No, but I want to do the next one, the police one. So I can do it. I can move the Caleb Hill if you want, but then I want to do Article 4 too. So
I'll do 3.
Hey, with Pat
all
on,
right,
who do you think?
So Eric,
Eric
you
wants
can move Article 3, Eric.
to move Article 3. He's going to
Okay.
get a stab at it. We'll give
One-
you that. We'll give you all the help you need, Eric. Don't worry about it.
All right. Thank you very much.
And one person talk at a time. Okay, article number 4 is the police station. Pat has expressed an interest.
No, it's a CBA.
CBA.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought you said police station. I'm sorry.
no, maybe I did say station, but it's the police contract.
Yep.
Anybody have any objections to that? I certainly don't. Okay, seeing none, that would be Pat,
Okay, I want to interject if I may.
please.
As I have done in the past when it comes to putting up the collective bargaining agreement and having people voting, I intend to have that done by a secret ballot. The reason is I don't like to have any police officers standing around the room watching who does or doesn't raise a voter card to vote for the collective bargaining agreement. It will not take an hour and can be done quickly, but I have done that over the last several contracts, and I intend to do that again.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, moving down to article number 5, if there's no more 4 discussion. This is the appropriation for operations.
And that would be the chair of the budget, right?
That's correct. Who is the budget chair?
Billy Lawrence.
Okay. Hopefully he's aware that he's going to be presenting it.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, article number 6. This is to take and account for $275,000 worth of the sale price of the old police station to help defray the costs of the new station. Is there anybody who particularly wants to do this? If not, Eric?
Sure.
Okay. So article number 7, we're flying through this stuff. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $3,000 to the Tilton Senior Center Expendable Trust. Personally, I think Pat is the one most qualified to answer questions as they come in about this trust and its uses. So I would say Pat. Would you do it, Pat? Any objection? Pat?
No, I'm all set. Yep. That's good. I don't know a thing about it, but that's all right.
7. Number 8, $35,000 to the Highway Equipment Capital Reserve Fund. Anybody, any takers? Peter, you want to do that one?
John,
Or I can do it if Peter, unless Peter wants. I was
Go
thinking
for
of
it, John.
Peter for 9.
9 is $90,000 to the town road, bridges, and sidewalk capital reserve. How about this one, Peter? You up for this?
Talk about the
Doesn't matter
bridges.
either way. I don't care.
Yep. Yep. Peter's up for it.
Okay. Thank you for stepping up, Peter. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $9,000 to the revaluation capital reserve fund.
I think that's a Joe question.
Sure,
All right.
works for me. To see if we'll raise $5,000 to the lake improvement maintenance capital reserve fund. In the past, I've spoken to this one, and I would be willing to do so again unless somebody wants it particularly.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Joe,
Article 12.
I'd love to do that.
Okay, well, you jumped up and spoke up first. It's you. And then Article 13 also pertains to the island. You want to segue on that one, John?
Sure.
It's the John Scanlon Show. Okay. Number 14, to see if we'll discontinue a public roadway, Bittern Lane. Anybody have a anchoring to take this one?
I don't think
Don't-
you want me to do it.
No, you don't want me to do it.
I'll do it.
Okay. If you, I would be willing if you don't want to, but
Okay.
dog in that fight. Okay, contingent with Article 14 is Article 15, which would transfer that Bittern Lane to MB Tractor or their designee. Eric, you want to segue on that one?
Sure.
Okay.
okay, point of clarification, is Eric doing also 14?
Yep.
That's correct. And we have Article 16, which is the resolution for fair nonpartisan redistricting by petition, and the petitioner would be the one to initially speak
Right.
to it. I don't know, who is the petitioner? Anybody know?
Ask Cindy.
Well, Cindy, no, she's not here. I just
Well,
wanted to see you.
Isn't this the Democratic Party that put in for it? Am I? No, the gerrymandering one.
It is a gerrymandering one, but the party itself can't, only Tilton residents could.
Right.
So
So that
they might be hooked in with that, I don't know.
I think they're the ones that started it.
Well, a town resident would have to speak to it in any case.
Ask Cindy for the first name on the petition.
You have the petition right here. I just happen to be sitting. Susan Lawrence, William Lawrence. Well, I'm sure one of them will be speaking to
I'm
it.
going to speak. If I may, when it comes to Article 16, I can read the article and then I can see if there is anyone in the body that wants to move the article. And should no one move the article, then it will die.
True enough.
Sounds
Got
good.
it.
I'm sure one of those people will stand up and move it. But yeah, you're right. Okay. And that is the end of our warrant article. So, or anything else? Talk about the specifics of town meeting. We still have a,
The only other thing, Joe, is that I did send you an email today and copied Jeannie, and I don't know if you shared it with everyone else.
I
At
saw
some
it.
point, and it's in the very near future, we have to put up an announcement on the Tilton website. Did anyone besides you, Joe, get a copy of that?
It was sent out in an email. So did you guys all get to read it?
Oh, yeah, if you want to read it, or I can.
I'll read it right now. After careful consideration, it has been mutually agreed by the Tilton Select Board and Town Moderator to conduct our annual town meeting, both the election of town officials and the deliberative session in the Winnisquam Regional High School Gymnasium. The election will be held on Tuesday, March 9th, from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And anyone who's not comfortable voting in person should request an absentee ballot from our town clerk, Cindy Rama. And I would say we would add a phone number or a link, but yes. The deliberative session where voters vote articles will be held on Saturday, March 13th, beginning at 8 a.m. To vote on the warrant articles, you must be there in person. Masks will be required to be seated in the main part of the gym, and seating will be spaced out at 6-foot intervals. Those who, well, it doesn't say that here, but those who can't or don't care to wear masks would be seated in a separate area in the back. So is that the gist of it, Chuck?
If you would like to add that, that's fine with me. And by the way, if you're going to we're after Cindy's name, I would suggest that as it's posted, it only lists the phone number, but also her email address, tctc@tiltonnh.org, so people can request that by email.
Yep.
And as
Okay.
far as the time for posting it, if you want to post it right away, whatever, that's up to you guys. I am sure that as we get a little bit closer and, we're a little over a month away, we're going to have people asking. And I think they just need to know when it's going to happen.
Okay, is there anybody here against posting that first thing tomorrow? Jeannie Forrester.
No, I wonder if the board would want to consider also putting an ad in the paper so that the residents might see it in the paper,
Like the Echo
wherever you think more people read it.
or the Daily Sun or both? What do you think, guys?
Daily Sun.
I think
Yeah, John.
the Echo automatically goes out to all residents, and the press releases and that I don't know if they're charging for that, but it does come to everybody's mailbox automatically, as opposed to they're having to pick it up at a store.
Only if they subscribe to it.
I don't get it delivered to my house, John. My
Just some
understanding is
people.
you have to make a request.
You have to request it from them.
That's correct. There was no charge, but you had to make a request. But still, it's around. So that'll go out to the Echo and the Sun tomorrow.
What
Uh,
is this something that we could use Alert Tilton on, or no?
I think we can also do that in addition. Getting this information out in the biggest forum, I think, is a good idea. You guys all on board with that?
Mm-hmm.
And Eric, you're still operating that Tilton page?
Yeah, I haven't really gotten it going yet, but that might be a good segue for me because
That could be the start of something big right there, Eric.
when is the budget public hearing?
I think it's the 11th,
The 12th.
the 12th, 12th.
I can't see.
The 10th is Wednesday, the 12th is Friday. Okay, then it would have to be the 10th because it's a Wednesday.
John would know. He's on
John.
the budget.
It would be the next Wednesday.
That would be the 10th,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, I don't have the calendar right here.
Yeah.
I just don't have it on my calendar, so that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anything else to ask Mr. Mitchell?
Yes,
Yes.
we have Chuck. We have the board has a presentation So whenever you plan that into your thing at town meeting, we have a
Community service presentation.
Community service presentation.
community service presentation, and right. And I have one small announcement for the senior center. That's it. So if you,
Yeah, I'll tell you what, one of the things that we could do is in Article number 3, and I don't intend to take that one necessarily out of order, where the poll's going to be open for an hour. And, you know, I think when I had sent the information out to you earlier, I don't anticipate a very large number of people necessarily attending, but you never know. But I'm sure we can get everybody through the voting in a fairly short amount of time, in which case, at that point, we could have some personal announcements made, and I would try to get people seated and quiet. Especially, it's going to be a little different this year because I believe you guys agreed to that we would not be serving food and beverages. So I don't think there's going to be quite the amount of socializing and milling around that there has been in the past. And it would be my intent that once everyone has pretty much voted, even though the polls will have to stay open for a full hour, that we'll go ahead and move on to some other warrant articles during that time.
got it.
So if that works for you, that works for me.
Sure does. Yep.
Or anything else? I'm not seeing anything. Chuck, I have nothing. Jeannie has nothing. Thank you very much. And we'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chuck.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Do you want to do my town administrator's report?
Yes. Yes. We want to end up with the end. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is the town administrator's report.
Can everyone hear me?
No, barely.
Yes, let's switch.
Right. So you all got my report, and they're all action items. The first one are the plaques for the Tilton Police Department. You'll see that did everyone get that and see the samples?
Yes.
I did.
Okay, and you saw the price. That's for 2 of them. It's $2,200 and change
For both, right?
for both. They're 16 inches wide by 24 inches high. And the metal cast bronze. One's cast bronze, one's cast aluminum. So my question to you on the first one, and this is just taken off of, that was on the Police Building Study Committee in Meredith. So I'm just showing you an example. You might not like what they did, and that's fine, but it's a starting place. So when you look at the town of Tilton Police Station, it has the Board of Selectmen's names listed. In Meredith, it had the town manager's name, and then it had the architect and the construction manager. I don't know that you want to do that here, but that's the way we did it there. I would, so I'm not going to be offended if you take my name off it, or the construction company, or the architect doesn't want the selectmen on it. It's a starting point. And you guys don't, and I just say this, you don't have to make a decision tonight. You know, it's a lot of money. I think you should think about it for a week and then come back and tell me what you think. Does that make sense?
Did everybody see it?
I just had a little bit of difficulty getting to it. I've been so busy.
And then the other one, so what I'm saying is you'll have time to look at it and then come back next week. The second one had the list of the Police Building Study Committee, That included everybody on the, Pat as the selectman's rep, myself as the secretary, and then the advisory committee, Tim Pearson, Chief Cormier, Captain Martin, Sergeant Buffington, and again, it had the architect and Milestone Construction. So what I suggest again is you take a look at it and then come back next week and tell me what you'd like to do. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. The second issue is the media inquiries we are now starting to get about the staffing at the police department. I sent you an email that I had gotten from the union leader. I also sent you what we've posted on the website for language, and I want to know who from the board wants to handle these calls.
I motion that Jeannie answer those calls because I feel that we need to be very, very consistent on what is happening. So that would be my motion.
Is there a second?
Scanlon,
Okay,
second.
we have a motion and a second. Discussion. Anybody?
Shouldn't it be someone from the board?
What'd you say?
Shouldn't it be somebody from the board?
It could be either way, Eric. It would be the chairman. Well, it would be the chairman because ordinarily the chairman would speak for the board. I like the idea of having Jeannie do it. I read her earlier explanation, the thing we put on the town website. I think she's fully qualified to answer these questions. And quite frankly, the calls come to Jeannie at town hall. They never asked me for my input at this point anyway. So I would be thinking that Jeannie would be the logical one.
Joe, may I speak?
Absolutely. I can't see you guys, so.
Okay, sorry. In the past, Eric, many years ago, when I was chair, the press will call, the media will call you, and we have no comment, and then they would turn to the town administrator, and then they would ask for comment. We always decided that it would be best that the town administrator handle these types of things directly, so that we all know that they're getting the same answer all the time. Because first of all, they have to chase you down because you're working and so on and so forth. So they don't have to chase her down. That's it.
Is there any other questions?
Peter.
Peter?
The town administrator, also being HR, has a much better understanding on answering these questions where you don't step in it. A selectman, if they don't know employment law and all, may open their mouth and say the wrong thing. I would
Exactly.
always defer to the paid professionals at town.
Right.
Is there any further discussion?
Wouldn't the selectman's response just be no comment? I mean,
No, I don't think it would, Eric. Everybody in town is chomping at the bit to know what's going on. For us to just say no comment just adds to that confusion, in my opinion.
well, there was a posting on social media that, someone posts a lot of stuff that they seem to know. So I don't know.
John?
Yeah, and in actuality, we do have a comment, and it's been addressed amongst all of us because we're actually all serving as one board, and that's been given to Jeannie, and she can portray that out very clearly, so that it doesn't get misconstrued or anything like that from other people. But we've had a comment, we've discussed everything, and it's. I think, and we all looked at, the statement that we've decided or discussed, and I think Jeannie would be a good clearinghouse for that information from
Peter?
us.
Peter?
What?
Oh, I thought you had your hand up.
Nope.
And I would just say, Eric, the other thing too, if you did get a call, you can always point them to the website, because that statement, and I don't know if Tim put that, but that's coming from the board. So,
No matter what you do or how you do it, there's going to be comments, right or wrong, in social media. That's the way social media is. It's going to happen no matter what. And, you know, I could put out a beautiful piece of woodworking and people are going to make positive comments and they're going to make negative comments. It doesn't matter. So it's the same way in municipal government. You have to take the good with the bad. People are not gonna. They're gonna say good things and they're gonna say negative things, and people think that they know the answers and they're gonna put them out there. It's how we react to them that's gonna make the difference. And we know, and only we know the truth. So I think that Jeannie, can portray that best for the Board of Selectmen.
I actually read one of those posts that disseminated non-public information.
Correct.
That information is out there on some level, and oh yeah, I'm not going to say what, but I know that somebody knows. John.
Well, they said some things that were purported to be from a non-public. Whether those things actually happened or not is
correct.
So it's, people are just saying things and they can speculate things and throw it out there. Whether they were from non-publics or from made up or, that's like you said, Joe, that's the way it works. So.
Okay.
They want you to answer it in a way.
It's fishing.
Yeah, well, I didn't comment on any level, but I was quite disturbed, quite frankly. But be that as it may, we have a motion on the table. Is there any other conversation or discussion about the motion? Hearing none, roll call vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Fogg, yes.
Jessamine, yes. Ira.
Ira, yes.
Scanlon.
Scanlon, yes.
Constantino. Pat.
Oh, did she just disappear?
Just now.
Yeah.
She says she's here.
I have her as off my screen.
Huh. Okay, well, I don't know what happened, but we have the votes to carry the motion. So the motion passes. Moving on, Jeannie.
okay, draft number 14 of the warrant articles, the latest version forwarded to you this morning. We vote on Article 5, which is now with us.
Is that the ocean?
No. Anyone here?
Mr. Chairman?
John?
Pat said that she can't get into the page. Into the meeting.
Did you try the town website?
You try the link on the town website. Yeah. No. Pat stated it says access denied when she tries to get in on there.
Is she in the non-public or the public?
Right, because this one's locked.
Yep, she is in the public, she said.
Maybe she should call in. I don't know, because it says it's unlocked.
So Pat said she's in the process of rebooting her computer, and if she can't get in, she'll call in, right, Pat? Okay, so we'll give her a minute. All right.
Hey, I'm back.
Back.
There you go.
Thank
You're
you.
still here?
Peter?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you,
Okay.
Peter.
All right, so the next item is draft number 14 of the warrant articles. Latest version that I sent you this morning. You need to revote on Article 5, which is the municipal operations budget, which changed. It now includes the sewer budget, so that the total number changed to reflect the sewer. And then the only other thing was there's a topical description language that was also added to the solar ordinance, Amendment 3, but I don't think you need to vote on that. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. Per John Raddick, we needed to have that description in there. So I'm asking the board if they would vote on Article 5.
Do we need to just vote to approve Article 5 as written, or do we need to do approve the number that you're putting in?
I don't think it really matters, Pat, one way or the other, just if you could make a motion to vote on
Okay.
Article.
I make a motion to approve Article 5 as written, recommended by the Selectmen.
Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, 1 second.
John Scanlon is a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Peter? Okay, here we go. Hearing no discussion on the motion. Roll call vote. Everybody signify by saying aye. Oh. Peter? Can you hear me, Peter?
Peter, can you hear us?
Yep. He's just turned on green now.
Okay. Peter, your vote.
I don't.
Uh,
Peter, can you hear us?
All right, let's come back to Peter. Jessamine, aye. Ira,
Ira, yes.
Scanlon,
Scanlon, yes.
Constantino, yes.
Peter,
He just left and came back. Hold on. Peter, can you hear us now?
Peter? No. That was
Eric? Oh, yeah, there's Peter. Peter, can you hear us? Peter?
I think Eric disappeared.
Yeah, I see that.
I think it's the program because I got dumped. Peter left.
Well, I show him on.
Yeah, but he froze.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's wait until I'm gonna go to the men's room. Let's wait till they get back.
Recess.
Well, in that case, I'm going to go get a banana.
Oh, what happened?
I don't know, you just disappeared and everybody took a break. You dropped off. What happened? You dropped off.
I don't know. It's every hour from when I signed on. So I signed on at 4:41, and at 41 minutes past the hour, I dropped my connection. Every hour.
So I don't know where Peter's at.
Pat's using up all my bandwidth.
Has anyone called Peter? Hello. How are you? Okay, well, we'll wait for you. Okay, well, everybody took a little break, so we'll wait for you. Thanks, bye.
Scott, you still there?
I am still here. Yes.
Ah, interesting, isn't it?
This is exciting. Some of the best excitement I've had all day.
Scott,
You need to get out more, Scott.
so we're just waiting for Peter.
Joe, that's not the case. I was teaching about ancient Athens today, so it was, not very scintillating.
Oh, no, I like ancient Athens.
So,
Final Jeopardy.
Peter, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Are we ready to get going?
Go.
All right. So we were in the middle of voting on Article 5, Peter, and we just needed your vote. And that was basically adding the sewer budget into the municipal operations budget.
Pass through, I'm a yes.
Okay. All right. So the next item is the board needs to hold a public hearing on the bond for Caleb Hill Road. And I'm suggesting that you hold a hearing on February 18th. That gives us time to get the posting in the newspaper that we have to do. So I'm asking the board to approve the public hearing date of February 18th.
Are there any exceptions?
So moved.
So second.
Discussion? Okay, roll call vote. please signify by saying aye. Bob?
Fog, yes. Fog, yes.
Yes. Byra?
Byra, yes.
Yes.
Constantino?
Constantino, yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. We received an email from Lauren Martin at Avaco regarding appeals. Walmart and Kohl's are both making appeals on their taxes. She's looking for approval to hire Barry, oh, I spelled it wrong, Barry Cunningham to do an update for tax year 2019 for Kohl's, which would cost $2,000, and a full appraisal for the Walmart appeal, which would be $7,500. If both cases move forward to a hearing, then the preparation and testimony and attendance at the hearing would be at $300 an hour. So I'd like you to approve that.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
What's it going to cost us more going to have these hearings done, or what they're looking for in tax abatements?
We've always won with Laura.
It's always worked out for us in the past, Derek,
Okay.
which is no guarantee of future success, but. Okay. Motion and- All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Bob?
Fog, yes.
Desmond, yes.
Byra, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Constantino, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next item. Last week I gave you a letter that was sent by resident Dave Fontaine asking the board to take action against his neighbor for violating a stalking order. You got that last week. I asked you to take a look at it and let me know what you want to do. Do you want to, I guess I'm looking for direction because he was looking for assistance from the board. Whether we respond back to him or do something, I just want to find out what you want to do, if anything.
Pat?
Is this something that we can put over to Rich and find out if there's something that we can actually do, or can we just? I don't think that there's anything that we can do with as far as a board is concerned, but I think we can do something as far as the PD, and I'm not sure that they got a response prior to Rich.
Right, and so it was a transition, so if that's what the board wants, I'll follow up with Rich, because the police department did get a copy of the complaint as well, and ask them what they can do.
Okay, so we're doing.
I would go that way. That would be my vote.
Everyone,
I would assume if a claim is made, they investigate it to see the validity and then proceed, especially this where it's a known issue.
right,
If he's violating that order, then something should be done. And everyone here should be fairly well aware of it.
Well, we'll turn it to the police, and we could respond back to him that it's been referred to the police, so he
okay.
doesn't think we're ignoring him.
Everyone okay with that?
Yes, I am.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah. there you
Okay.
go.
All right, thank you. Next item, I forwarded the board a letter and a petition from residents regarding speeding on Silver Lake Road. Wanted to know what you wanted to do with that.
I
Didn't we
think.
discuss that?
Yeah, I think we discussed that with Rich earlier. He's gonna do something with it.
Yeah, he was there. Well, you might have been coming in and out of the room.
So Rich is on top of this.
Yep. Yep.
All right, next item, I sent you all the plans of resignation on February 2nd. Tried to come up with some solutions for you. My impression was you didn't like what I was trying to do. So at this point, it's back to all of you. Tell me what you want to do.
Well, we need somebody in code enforcement, so we have to start placing ads, or we have to start looking on some level. I don't know if that idea that had come up earlier was one that could work for us or not, but we definitely need a code enforcement officer. So does anybody have any ideas? John?
Yeah, I mean, we were sharing an attorney with Samberton. Maybe we could look at neighboring towns to see if we could do one of those type of agreements that perhaps they have a part-timer that could fill in at least for now, or try out.
Joe.
And I asked Lee Ann to join the conversation because the code enforcement officer reports to her and it impacts her office. So I want her to weigh in on it.
Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Jim? Is that back? I don't think that background noise is me. So yeah, I'd be interested to know how the board wants to proceed. Jeannie and I had talked about a few different ideas. I think you're right. We do need a code enforcement officer. There's a few options. I do have a number of contacts in other towns that I've worked that I can reach out to people if that's something that the board wants me to do. Sharing with another town has been done. I don't think it's a long-term solution, but certainly if we're in a bind for a little while, we can look at the neighboring towns to see if someone there would like to come over, but it certainly isn't a long-term solution. We are pretty busy in Tilton right now, which is unusual for the winter, but we'll get through it. Another option is to see if Al would like to try and work out to stay on for a little while in a part-time basis, working around his schedule, maybe weekends, working from home. That's another option if the board wants to see if he'll continue to do that. The fire department was an option. It is a model that a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of towns, a lot of larger communities are looking into. I don't think it's a good fit for a smaller town. I think it'd be a lot to transition the department over to the fire, but I'm open to that discussion. So those are the ideas that I have, but I certainly think there's a lot of, I would think usually retired construction workers seem to like that position because it's their field, and a lot of them can't be doing the outdoor construction all the time. So it's usually a good fit. So I don't know how difficult it'll be to find someone part-time, but another option is to look at MRI and see if they have anyone available to fill in the meantime. We've done that in other towns. So it's just a matter of how the board wants to proceed, or they want Jeannie and I to come up with a few scenarios of how we think it could go.
Does LGC still do that kind of work? No? No, okay. Well, we need to get ads in the paper.
That's
I think I'm the one that put the kibosh on going out and doing that, and I meant no disrespect to either Leanne or Jeannie. It was not it was not directed at your knowledge or expertise in this matter whatsoever. I do believe strongly that we need to replace Al. We need to replace a code enforcement officer. I don't know if we can replace Al, but I think we need to replace a code enforcement officer. What I do not, I at the time I sent that email out and said that we really should ask the board first is because I think it's a very volatile situation with Northfield, Tilton, fire department in the town of Tilton. And I really wanted to protect Leanne more than anything on going into that situation, because if you remember, not so long ago, we were asked in that same type of scenario to fix fire trucks in the Public Works Department. And that didn't really go over well with the Board of Selectmen, and it was a very contentious argument back and forth. So that being said, that was not directed at either one of you or to your expertise on trying to find somebody. My sentiments in that is we need to find somebody and need to find somebody soon. I would not go to the fire department avenue because there's way too many spider webs entangled, and I think Joe would agree on that one. Way too many spider webs entangled into that mess between Northfield Tilton Fire Department. I'm just putting it out there. I would love to some point in time down the road try to mend that or heal that, however you want to say that, but it's sometimes you're always up against the brick wall. Having said that, going to Northfield or going to Samberton or going to Belmont or trying to partner with another town, amen. However you want to come up with it, look for somebody. Come up with some suggestions, come back to us. I'm all for it. If you can find somebody or come up with some suggestions on that, that's fine. But me personally, I would not go to that avenue whatsoever.
Who else?
Can I ask another question of the board while I'm on, Joe?
Okay. Yep.
So does the board want to stay, you say advertise? I know that the board had this agreement with Mr. LaPlante. That was obviously before myself and before Jeannie, I think, or maybe when Jeannie was there. But so, I know it was a little bit of a unique situation, the hours and schedule and how that worked. So is the board want to stay with that? That exact model, or are we looking for someone just how many part-time hours, or just stay within the budget? What are the parameters the board's looking for now that we're going to be starting over, so to speak? And are you giving us some leeway in how we design that?
I would say that the payment depends on the person. Situation, the contract, or the employment, offer of employment, however that turns out, is still up for debate. What we need is a person that we can discuss the job to or with. That's my feeling. Eric? Eric?
Yep. Leanne, do you feel that this position is worthy of a full-time person, or is still staying part-time?
I think still part-time at this point. Again, the job could be full-time if we want to expand the zoning work more into that position, not just inspections and that type of thing. But again, it was kind of the way it worked, as you know, it was more of a, on-call, guaranteed so many hours. And so I think it'll be structured maybe a little bit differently now that if we got someone new with the hours, and we'd have to see how that plays out. The other issue I might have is, in the meantime, if we are without an inspector for a short period of time, we will need a code enforcement officer or someone authorized to make those decisions, because it is an authorized position, right? Code enforcement is someone that the board designates to have that authority. So we'll have to think about that. Not tonight, she's not going till next week, but we may have to make that decision at some point if we don't have anyone, right? You understand what I'm talking about as far as enforcement?
John? John?
Yeah, I think the plan with Al and the hours and the time was just sort of to fit into his schedule and also make availability for, contractors and that. So I'm flexible. If we have somebody that's going to work part-time, I think, Leon, you probably know when it's the busiest and when people are usually looking for inspections. And if we can work a schedule around what, is usually needed by the people who are doing that, that would be good. One thing we're putting a budget in we already made a budget for that. So we kind of have to stick pretty close to what we have in there, in filling that position. But I like the idea if we can find somebody, from next town or a contractor or somebody to fill in, and ready to go when as we find a permit situation.
I'm with the rest of them. I'm very flexible. If you can come up with the demands of the business and it's changed and it's certain hours, very different from what's now, and maybe it might be 30 hours instead of 26 or whatever, and it may be in the morning or less in the afternoon. I'm going to bow to your expertise on that one, and depending on the expertise of the person that you find. That's my opinion.
Is there anybody else? Peter?
Peter, I don't know if you heard Joe ask if you had anything. He's not answering.
Well, he's got problematic internet. Okay, well, then I would say based on this conversation, guys put together something for us. So hopefully we have some idea where we're going by next week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on, Leanne.
Okay, thanks.
All right, next item, the attorney prosecutor vacancy. Tony Estee is serving as the interim attorney prosecutor for the months of February and March. He's already met with Rich Meehan and Lisa Oger over at the PD. The last time we talked, the board had said that we should tell Samberton to find their own attorney prosecutor. Chief Hager called and asked if Samberton could continue for the next 2 months with the interim attorney prosecutor that we have hired. I did talk to Tony Estee. He said that he would have the capacity to take them on. That would then allow us to continue to receive the quarterly payment from Samberton, which was about $3,000 a pay. Estee told us that he would handle these cases and the fee would remain the same. So my question to you is, are you okay with Tony assisting Samberton?
Yes.
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 Peter,
I don't care.
and Peter's a maybe.
No, Peter said yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said I don't care.
Okay. Thank you. The next.
I was never able to comment on the last one, so I'm just getting irritated is all.
Peter, we keep calling your name, but it's gotta be.
I understand, Joe. The Chromebook tonight, the volume crapped up. I'm on my phone. It lost the volume. I called back in. I'm back in now. I can't help it.
Okay, well, we'll definitely wait for you. And if you want to weigh in anytime.
Peter,
I
is there some?
suggested that the first thing for code enforcement is a call across the river. Maybe we can create a full-time job with the two towns that makes it more enticing for someone if we split the hours that works for both towns.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you could hear the board, but basically they just gave us the direction to find, come back with some options. It didn't include the fire department. So that's what we'll do. Are you good with that?
Yeah,
Which was your suggestion?
I'm fine.
Okay, thank you. So we placed an ad in the New Hampshire Municipal Association for the attorney prosecutor. And we have also been advised the best place to put an ad in to find an attorney prosecutor is the New Hampshire Bar News. That's $240. The next issue comes out on 17th of February. And if you agree to that, we'd extend the deadline for response to March 5th. It'll be tight, but we could do interviews and try to get a new attorney prosecutor in by the line we're trying to hit. So that's the question to the board. Are you willing to spend $240 for us to place an ad in the New Hampshire Bar News?
Peter?
I suppose, I'm not sure what percent of the New Hampshire bar are prosecuting for the police, but I guess it's worth a shot, although it's big money.
It is big money. I think Jesse recommended it and Tony Estee recommended it as the place that you're going to get the most people who are looking for those kind of jobs. I mean,
Okay,
like if this
I'll defer.
or the Laconia Daily Sun, I don't know how many attorneys are looking there.
Right. You're right. No, that's fine.
I'm a yes. Eric?
Yes.
John's a yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that I have, it came in late, Gail was able to get a quote from Kelly at the sign shop for sign for the ice rink. Put together the skating rules as proposed by our insurance company, Primex. It's and the price she quoted was $205. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that.
Mhm.
I did. It's $235 for the sign for the ice rink.
Yes.
Which pocket does this come out of?
Selectmen's budget.
That's correct. And it's a selectman's sign.
Yep.
I wouldn't pull it out of the park subdivision.
No, I'm not asking that, Peter. I'm asking what pocket out of the selectmen's budget.
One of the miscellaneous. It's gonna
Well,
get
fine.
some of your parade candy.
No.
That's fine. We'll solve it.
Listen, we have a potential candidate online. Do not give him any ideas about taking money out of candy budget.
Okay.
I move that we go ahead and purchase that sign.
Second, is there any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question.
Eric?
Should we remove the 2021 from the bottom of that sign so it can be reused in future years?
Absolutely. Anybody else? Okay, hearing no other discussion. Actually, we have a member of the public on hand. And I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on this issue, Mr. Ruggles.
No, I don't.
Okay, we're gonna do a roll call vote. Please signify your acceptance by saying aye. Oh,
Yes.
Jessamine, aye.
Ira, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Constantino, yes.
Okay, the motion carries.
And now I guess you're going into that. That's it for me.
Okay. The time being, let me get my cheat sheet here.
Are we going into non-public? All right, give me a minute. I got to get rid of people.
Make a motion that we return to non-public. semicolon 3, paragraph 2, dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee, or the disciplining of such employee, or the investigation of any charges against them, unless the employee affected, 1, has a right to a public meeting, and 2, requests that meeting be opened, in which case the request shall be granted. And RSA 91-A, semicolon 3, paragraph 2B, the hiring of any person as a public employee. Do we have a second?
Fogg second.
Scanlon,
John Scanlon, Boggs. We got lots of seconds. In that case, if there's no discussion, all those in favor please signify by saying aye. Roll call. Constantino.
Constantino, yes.
Fogg, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Okay, I'll see you on the other side. The other side.